Vintage hats, shirts, golf gear supreme. Raiders of resale, living the dream. From whatnot to eBay, we score the loot. Vintage finds in every pursuit. Tips to cash in, stories so grand. Reselling Raiders, rulers of the land. Reselling Raiders, treasure we chase. Hat house fired up, coaching the race. Vintage hat shirts, golf gear supreme. Raiders of resale, living the dream.
Tell me you guys do not sing that all the way back and forth to work every morning. You got that on repeat, right?
I was just up and dancing right here in the room till we got to about 4 seconds, and I sat back down.
I'm just glad that I can get dressed so quick.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to the Reselling Raiders podcast, live from the Hat House. I'm Hat House, followed by Coach Forch, Fired Up Finds, and tonight we're going to deep dive into the ups and downs of reselling. There are many of both. That's going to be our main theme, while we bring some of the reoccurring things we want to talk about. And one of those is bulk buying. I'm sure we'll do that several times. We'll be able to talk about it almost weekly, because to be able to resell on the volume that we do, we've got to buy in bulk. But I've heard this week that the Raiders have been doing some raiding, and Coach had a big butt out. So we definitely got to hear about that. Inside joke. Yeah, inside joke. But the big butt out from Rob. What'd you get?
Yeah, I got hooked up with a fellow reseller whose name will remain anonymous at this point, but he just life happens to people sometimes, and they gotta make a zig when they should zag, and sometimes good things happen. And I happen to be the recipient of a buyout, not a butt out. And Buddy was trying to liquidate, and I got the goods. I'm looking at probably 40, 50 hats, 20, 30 shirts, pullovers, golf towels, balls, you name it. It was a golf guy, and he just needed to move on, and we came to a good financial agreement, and we met today after I finished work, and needless to say, my Jeep is loaded right now.
Right. So when you go to process all this, do you think you'll just be able to take it straight to the show? You're gonna have to wash them or clean anything? Since he was a reseller, did he already have them ready to go, basically?
I would process them anyway. I like my stuff to leave here. When I send something to whomever buys from me, they can know that I put it through my washing machine, my dryer, and I took care of it, because I want to make sure the best stuff goes out the door.
I'm definitely the same way. I still got to put it through the same process that I would put anything through. It's hard for me to just kind of take it, and
it's a matter of conscience at that point.
Right. And just being consistent with your customers, for sure.
Yeah.
So did you have any big scores this weekend, Mike?
Yeah. So to piggyback off last week when we were talking about sourcing, and sometimes you don't live in the best area and you got to get on the road to go and find. That was Amanda and I this weekend. We drove basically 8 hours round trip we had a route that we planned, so we would be able to try to maximize our opportunity on the way down to meet up with this lady. And either that will work out or it won't. Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But I did. I had a pretty good haul this weekend. I got like 30-ish, mostly dead stock 90s hats, some NASCAR hats, mostly sports, a lot of multiples. And then I got a bunch of NASCAR jackets and a couple t-shirts, and like there were some things that I've never seen before. So I've bought from her before. It was just, a lady that I've met at a market and got to talking to her. She's super old, and you just sweet talk them, and then next thing you know, you realize that they have a lot of stuff that you want, and so we exchanged phone numbers, and then but that was probably a month ago that I met her, and then she finally called me and was like, "Hey, I got more stuff for you." So
it's back to like what we talked about. It's networking, and really the most important thing in reselling. We'll probably always hit on that theme of networking and getting to know people, and then being able to go back and with that relationship and go back to the well. Want to make sure you guys know we are live on Instagram, and if you're on Instagram, leave us a comment there, or head over.
Drop one of them.
Yeah, or drop over to YouTube. Let us know that you're there, and we'll definitely like to answer any questions you have on the comments. But we're definitely got downs. Not everything is just awesome in reselling. I didn't have the best week last week. I don't want to sound too, I don't know, negative. I don't want to be too negative about my whatnot experience last week, but it's probably not something that I'm going to repeat. I had fun. I had fun in the 3 or 4 days that I went live every day, and it was a great experiment. But the last day, I was like, I knew it was going to be a rough day when I held up 2 Raiders hats, which was on our bolos, right? I mean, we talked about it. We were like, it doesn't matter what you do, you'll sell a Raiders hat. And I held up, I had a kids Raiders hat and I had a New Era Raiders hat. I held them up for $3 and it didn't sell. And I was like, man, this is going to be a rough day. I mean, they weren't like they weren't vintage or anything, but they were just they were regular $3. 2 Raiders hats, a cool kids one and just a regular 47 brand, cool trucker. They were, I think it was reflective even, but at that point I was really rethinking what I was doing. And I would urge anybody that's going to do whatnot, you really have to go in it with the strategy, and your cost of goods almost have to be $0 or $1. That you can. There's multiple ways to do whatnot too, and the way that some people do it, there's a really good seller. He'll sit there, Brant. I'll say his name. Awesome hat seller, but he'll sit there for 4 hours and be able to go through those hats, but one by one by one by one. And I can't do it. I just cannot sit there for 4 hours and try to sell hats. I keep thinking when something doesn't sell or I'm in a drought, I'm just thinking there's something better I could be doing with my time right now than sitting here with stuff not selling. And the sales prices weren't what I really wanted either. And I don't blame.
Real quick, Stephen. For those of you that don't know what Stephen's talking about, he did an experiment this past week where he went live at lunchtime. For about an hour a day, right?
Yeah, it was an hour, 3 or 4.
Yeah,
Hat Cafe.
Basically.
Hat Cafe. It was deemed Hat Cafe by my Mr. Fired Up there, and so Stephen was stepping out from his norm, which is the 60 hats at 60 minutes show that we're all accustomed to, and obviously he's finding that it wasn't to his liking.
Yeah, it was not. I also felt like parts of it. Do you ever feel like the audience or your customers are kind of setting you up almost? Like they're taking turns bidding. Do you guys ever feel that way?
I feel peer like the peer pressure.
I have experienced that. Yeah.
And you feel like, well, somebody's bidding on it this time, and then the next time somebody else is only going to bid $3, and then the next time somebody else is only going to bid $3, but they're never going to bid
I've
against each
seen
other.
that on multiple occasions actually, but in a lot of different shows where, you know, you're looking at a lot of the same stuff, like hats, for instance.
Yeah.
And it's a small starting bid, and people are there just to get volume. Like your lunch show, for example, you brought a lot of great stuff, and I can say that because I was there and I bought some stuff. But you know, everybody was like, "Hey, I can get a piece. You can get a piece. We could all get a piece." And it was like happy sharing, and that's you know that's a minimal kind of walk away for you.
Yeah, especially if your cost of goods aren't that $1 or less.
Yeah,
right.
And like now, if you had if every hat that's in your inventory was, you know, a 20-cent average, well, then you're going to kill it, because after fees and whatnot, $3 turns into like, you know, $2 and some change or whatever it is. You know what I mean? And then you can sit there and flip and make a $2 profit every time, but you multiply that by 60 times every day of the week. You know what I mean? Then you understand how you can end up making a couple grand every week. But
and
that's back to Brant. That's exactly how he does.
Yeah, exactly. When you get the bins,
you know,
and it's, you know, $1.40 per pound or whatever, and you know that hat weighs 4 ounces, you know what I mean? So like you can, even the hats that don't sell for the $3, if you toss it in somebody's pile, it's kind of always coming back anyway. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because there's going to be hats that sell for $3. There'll be hats that sell for $20. And so the ones that you kind of just toss in, it's really a $20 or it's a 20-cent loss for you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's not.
Average selling price didn't come out to being, I didn't lose money on anything. I just did not make as much as I could have.
Yes.
Listing them the other way. And I don't want to sound totally ungrateful, because I had more people in my room than probably somebody that's just starting out would even have. I'm really grateful to the people that watch my YouTube channel, that watch this. There's a lot of people that watch this that were there and talked about it. And I don't want to sound too ungrateful for that either, because there was people there buying things, but it's not, I don't think it's gonna be sustainable for me. And I wanted to give people some good deals too, and I hope they did, and they make a little money off of it. The one specific that I had was, I think I text y'all. It was the melon or Malin, the melon hat that I sold it on Whatnot for $15, and I sold one almost exactly the same, like 3 hours after the show for, and it's just, it's
okay.
Am I back?
You're back.
I don't know. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So selling something for 15 on Whatnot or 40 on eBay, and it's really tough for me to reconcile that with myself and how I can justify taking on that $30 loss almost.
How long? Because you didn't tell us, but how long did you have that hat listed in eBay for?
3 days.
Yeah. I mean, those are always like those go like hotcakes.
Right.
Anyway, you know what I mean?
Which is
a lot different. Like if you're gonna just like we were talking about, you know, I mean, you know, we don't want to talk all that much about things that the three of us talk about outside of this or whatever, you know what I mean? But it's just like there's certain things that you're willing to sell for, you know, 60% less than what you could if the sell-through rate of that item, you know, if you're going to hold on to that item for 6 months, would I rather take my $3 and turn it to 15 today? Or would I rather take my $3 and turn it to 45, but in 6 months? And if you did 3 to 15 today and 3 to 15 tomorrow, then you see how that adds up to significantly more than 3 to 45 in 6 months. But on the flip side of that coin, if your 3 to 15 or if your 3 to 15 happens today, but your 3 to 45 happens in 2 more days, well, you know what I mean? Like it's obviously a lot better option to go with the 3 to 45 for 2 extra days of waiting.
Well, I think
You know what I
it's
mean?
I think it's part of the trial of the nooner. We'll call it the nooner show. And
Afternoon delight. Maybe I just have the
you know,
wrong
it's
name.
I think that's what you're going to get here at this podcast. Is you're just going to get full on blatant honesty. Here's what really happens behind the scenes. And our theme today is ups and downs of reselling. And Steven's sharing with us his. He obviously set up the melon to be an enticing piece to get people to get buy-in in the show and everything, and it didn't work out. And that's really one of the downs of reselling. You try things and they don't work sometimes, and sometimes you scratch your head and go, damn, I knew I could have got that over there, but gave it a shot.
Yeah, I did. And I don't think this wrong either. I didn't go into the show with the expectation that I was going to sell that for an eBay price. That is about half, and that's kind of what we talked about. We talked about in the past. Really good hats or really good items that you have on Whatnot. Typically, you can bank on about 50%, 50 to 40%. If you got a really great item, then that's where you can probably plan on it landing. But that was a hyper specific example. But hey, FSJ is back in the chat.
FSJ, what it do, baby?
Yeah, it's good to see you, FSJ. I'm making don't call it a comeback, but we're gonna try to do this more often. I hope to see you around, FSJ. Probably 1 second on FSJ. Probably the first person that ever watched me on YouTube. He was definitely shout him out because he was like one of the first persons to ever comment on my videos. Fart Sack Jack. Big shout out.
Wait, whoa. What does FSJ stand for?
Fart Sack Jack.
Sack Jack.
Dude.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful name. Hey, listen, you guys know, if anybody watching, or especially you two, you guys know when you come into my shows, dude, even if it's not somebody bidding, if I see somebody join that has a good name, especially funny names like that, I always have to say, listen, dude, that is a fantastic name.
That stops the whole show.
Names that make me laugh are the
man
best.
Stops his whole show to recognize the name.
Oh, I will because
absolutely been there, seen it.
Laugh kills me, dude. I'm like there was like when I first started, that girl Sarah Loves Hot Showers was like, she was in like some of my first hat shows. She doesn't really come around anymore. I'm not really sure what happened to her or whatever. But I mean, that name to me is so funny. Like Sarah Loves Hot Showers to me is absolutely a hilarious name. I'm like, FSJ, you're an absolute legend in my book. I don't even know you.
He said, old ladies hate it. I love it.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I don't want to harp too much on it. I really appreciate everybody that came to my show, and I'm glad. I know y'all got some good deals, and I was really glad to do it. It was really just more of a test on my part. And it was just kind of the last thing that I'll harp on, though, that is why I can't do it, is because I really didn't get any support with the things that I needed to move on the really low end. If I could have moved some lower end stuff, and I even went to like 3 hats for $3, then I went to 4 hats for $3, 5 hats for $3. I mean, they weren't great hats, but they still couldn't move on that last day. And if I can't move my lower end merchandise with the higher end at the same time, there's no way that can be a sustainable kind of business model for me. That's the last thing I'll harp about it, because I don't want to be too negative about it, and it's not the last Whatnot I'm ever going to do. Definitely.
No, again, everybody, this was the nooner show Hat House was testing out. It wasn't a fit for him. I mean, we've all, I started on Wednesday. It's no longer a fit for me. That's why you find me on Saturdays. I mean,
I think
all got ebbs and flows.
I think it's awesome that you can just be like, hey, you know what? I want to try this out. Whatever this is. You know what I mean? Like whether it's just reselling in general, or whether it's Whatnot, at 12:30 Central Standard Times, or or whatever that is, and just be like, I want to try this out and give it a trial run. And if it works for you, awesome. If you have a tinge of it can possibly working and you continue to do it, awesome. Or if you just say, it was worth my time to try it out, but it's just not for me, at least at this moment, then also awesome. Like,
And-
you have to be willing to try things. And for us, I feel like it's a little bit easier for us because everybody here has, we're not the biggest sellers of all time, but everybody here has at least a little bit of a following. You know what I mean? We have a little bit of inventory. We kind of understand how to source and so on and so forth. But for all the people that have never done it before, like, don't be afraid to start a Whatnot show if that's what you want to do. And there be 0 people in there for 4 hours. Don't be afraid of that.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, and like, of course it sucks. Nobody wants that. But you not being afraid to try new things is super important,
Right.
Yeah,
And
that's the
there's lots
exact-
of ways to Whatnot. That's not the only way to Whatnot.
Exactly.
That's the exact information that I share with anybody that I see. It's in a show, and they cry out for help, saying, hey, I had my first show. I've had a couple shows. Nobody's coming. I mean, it's you just have to keep pounding the pavement. Just keep doing it. If you build it, they will come.
Exactly. And one of the best things ever. Well, I mean, literally, Coach was in, I think, my very first show ever. I'm pretty sure, because he's the one that was like, hey, you don't have to load every individual item during the show. You know what I mean? I'm sitting there like,
yeah,
and so
because afterwards I sent you the information on how to load them up.
Exactly. Like, he's literally been there since like my very first show, and he cooked me, by the way. But especially now, a year in, I'm like, oh, this guy absolutely freaking cooked. You know what I mean? But
you just paid for the information.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was an exchange of services. But and for the people that can just get started, if you cover up that little icon up there that says that you have 0 or 100 people in there, and then just pretend that there's 100, you know what I mean? And just and talk about your day and see what's going on. Nobody's going to respond, and that's okay. And continue to run items and ask what people want. But also, if nobody responds, you just keep running. You know what I mean? And like, eventually people will show up, like,
yeah, I try to pop in some shows every so often, like if I'm surfing, whatnot, and what have you. If I'll see some shows where there's like maybe onesies or twosies in there, I will pop in just to participate for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Just hey, you're doing great. Keep it up. I just want to stop in and say hello.
Because that's big for somebody. Because like, just like we talked about, I think on the first week, that Facebook page, I mean, maybe 80% of that Facebook page is people saying that they had their first show and it was like the worst
tough.
their whole life.
It's tough. That first show is hard, man.
Yeah.
Just getting up enough nerve to click start show.
Oh yeah.
That is so difficult.
Oh, yeah.
I watched this guy sell hats one time. It was like his first show or something like that, maybe his second show. Did a serious rage quit. Just said, that's it, I'm done. Click. Off it went.
Was it me?
I was gonna say
it was. Hey, Headhouse. Hey, I was sitting there with my wife next to me, and I was, we were interacting, and you got your rage on, and I said, boom. I said, show ended. I said, my man, just shut it down. Just shut it down. I showed her the screen and everything. I said, my boy, just shut it right down. Boom, done.
I do not have the temperament sometimes for Whatnot. I just can't. I had a bunch of good hats that day. There was a Masters hat in there you were trying to get for me for like $2. And I was like, dude, we're going to shut this down.
Yeah, Coach is always trying to scheme for an extra little deal from the boys. You know what I mean? This guy, dude. And the best part is, too, is that I think maybe of anybody on the internet, I'm not sure how many people, that's a beautiful.
Straight from the hat house.
Oh, that's awesome. And I think I'm not sure how many.
I got this one from you.
That was for me.
From you. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, man. Wow. But I'm not sure how many people Steven knows in the internet space that he like talks to on a daily basis, like us two. But I feel like I know you guys at least decently well. You know what I mean? And so it's like you can go, you can be in Steven's show, and sometimes you can just see it on his face. He won't say anything. He's not a complainer. You know what I mean? He's definitely not a verbal complainer. But so I'm like, oh man, I'm like, dude, this guy's getting upset. It is funny. It sucks, but it's fun.
Yeah, I don't have a very good poker face. I will give you that. If I'm frustrated, it usually shows all over. And
I think we all,
but
like,
well, that's
You know,
what I was like.
That's
I'm
part of
going.
what
Yeah. And
That's
if I was going to
different
give
than what
one tip, we were talking about new sellers again. If I was going to give a new seller one tip, and that will really help, is do whatever you can to show as much of the merchandise that you do have on the screen. Take up as much screen as you can with stuff that you are selling, because you never know who's going to flip through there and see what they want. And there's a lot of sellers that just have everything kind of packed up and it's just them. And you got to think about the total retail space that you have at all times. We're all selling something in all this space that we have.
Yeah. That's why you see all that crap.
I mean, even right now, like even we're not actively trying to sell right now, but somebody might see this and be like, oh man, that guy has, that Oklahoma Sooners right there, that little script that he has above his left shoulder. I need that. And then he'll message you. Hey man, what are you thinking? You know what I mean? And the next thing, and it's just, I do a horrible job at that. Obviously, you want to buy my green wall, but in my shows, especially, a vast majority of the time, if it's not loaded in the store where you can go in there and look at it, if it's all just random items, almost, 99% of them are behind me. Right. Because, and like, you just start pulling. If people aren't saying, hey, I want this thing, then just start pulling random stuff,
Yeah.
But running, in my opinion, is always, that's always the best thing that you can do. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, the key phrase is you can't sell it if you don't run it.
Exactly. But then just like you were saying, Steven, on the flip side of that coin, you have guys like Bust With Us is a great example. Great seller, has some of the most unbelievable hats probably on the entirety of the internet. You know what I mean? His hat collection is insane, probably thousands of hats. And he's a guy that's like, he'll have 30, 40, 50 people in his room. And he's just sitting there hanging out, shaping up hats. And then if somebody pops in and they're like, hey, man, do you have a Memphis Grizzlies X, Y, and Z? He'll be like, yeah, sure. And you know what I mean? So that's also the flip side of that coin, where he's not going to start everything out at a certain price. But he has these crazy grails that not a lot of people have. And especially the ones that do have them are not going to run them at $1 or $3 or $5. Right. But he'll still give you a better deal than if you were going to go and, try to buy it off of another site. You know what I mean? So it's a win-win. So you can always just do that. But with that way of selling, in my opinion, you have to have the best of the best stuff. You can't have, the middle of the road, just the average $30 hat or shirt or whatever.
Well, that's his shtick right there. Yeah. He's the guy. He sit there and chat with you and bullshit with you, and you ask him for something, and he's going to have that top. Yeah, that top.
And he's just a super cool guy that you can just hang out in there, and he's just like a super nice guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, he's a really cool guy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
But he does have the bangers, and I would think about if his setup though was more like this, and he had if he had all those bangers on the back, and I don't know,
he would need some wide angle lens that they probably don't even make,
right?
Because I mean, I text him, I chat all the time. I said, bud, I would love for you just to do a 360 with the camera, because I'm picturing just mountains of just grails everywhere. Yeah. I'm like,
he just might. He's got a bunch of good ones.
I picture the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've gotten some Sooners hats from him too. And he comes across them. So I wasn't the only one that had some downs. I know that. Who wants to go first on their downs that they had this past week too?
I'm going to start with mine. So my wife works in retail, and it's few and far between where she has the entire weekend off. So she had taken a ride home down a road called Route 40 up here in Baltimore. And she noticed a new Goodwill had gone in. So she was telling me about it. And then Saturday we decided, hey, let's go check it out. You know, we're going to spend. I love going thrifting with my wife. It's one of the fun things to do. So, in my area, there's a Route 29 that runs north and south, and then Route 40 runs east and west. So we had to go up, and then we went out 40 east to go to this new one. And I'm not talking a long way. It was like 5 minutes. We get there, and it's just it's a giant store to begin with. Because I think it used to be a furniture store. But it is such a just shit show right there, man. It is. Goodwill on Route 40 East in Catonsville area is just a shit show.
What made it so bad?
It's just it's a dingy looking place for it to be a newer store, and the quality of the merchandise was just hideous.
Mhm.
Just hideous. I'll put it to you this way. I had 6 Peter Millar pairs of golf shorts in my hands and put every one of them back.
Just all stained up or ripped or something.
Just faded, funky. They were just not what I would put on my rack.
Peter Millar.
Now, traditionally,
by the way,
I would go 40 to the west to a different Goodwill that's been there for years. Always been a solid place. So I said, well, babe, look, this stinks. Let's run down the road to the good one. And I get down there to find out that every golf polo has been raised up to $11 or $12 now.
Ooh.
Wow.
Ugh.
I'm like, I can't buy them at $11 and sell them for 10. That math don't math. I mean, it just don't math.
That's criminal.
$12.
Like, what is the deal?
Ours actually went down 50 cents. We were like $5.99 from polos, and then hadn't been back. It's been like 3 or 4 months, and we finally went back, and then we went down to $5.49 again. So
yeah,
they were usually $5.49, $6.49. You know, occasionally you'd find one that was $7 if it was what they thought was top end. I mean, because we all know that different
yeah, they don't know.
Yeah, different
don't
prices.
know.
Exactly.
They price the ones that they've heard of at the higher level, and like I'll be sitting there looking at like some Greg Norman for $8, and I'm holding the Masters for $3.50.
Right.
Like, okay.
It was that way with Under Armour here. Under Armour was $12 here all the time, and then Peter Millar's $5.49. Their strategy doesn't work too well. What was your down, Mike?
Well, so I don't remember if we said this beforehand or it was during, but we were talking last week about getting on the road. And so, like I said earlier in the show, Amanda and I got on the road. And when I did this a couple weeks ago, the exact same route, as a matter of fact, I murdered it. I'm not lying. I murdered it. Okay. I came back with really, 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 really good stuff. It was a very long day, but I absolutely killed it. Literally my best day ever. I'll say that. So that was on a Sunday. So I take her with me this time, and we're going to do a Saturday and a Sunday. And it just so happens that every place that I went to that Sunday a couple weeks ago they're open Saturdays and Sundays, these markets, but they're really only Sunday markets. So we get there to literally all of them, and they're all dead. There's not a soul. Like, there's literally one seller. And I'm like, and these aren't close. They're multi hours away from where I live. And so we end up finally getting to where we were going on Saturday and doing the buyout that we're supposed to do. And it was fine. And then on Sunday, we're coming back home. And we have the largest flea market in all of Florida is in Webster. It's basically like a little south of Orlando. And so they just opened up on Sundays. They're always been a Monday market. They just opened up on Sundays. So I said, hey, it's Sunday. On the way back home, we're going to hit them up because it's they have 800 plus vendors. It's a huge thing. So we wake up at 4 a.m. We drive almost 3 hours kind of out of the way to go to this market, and we get there and there are 3 sellers, 3 vendors in the entire place. And so I go, I pull up to one of the workers. I go, hey man, I'm using my context clues, being a smart guy, probably not a good idea on Sundays, huh? And he was like, listen, man, he's like, it's a Monday thing, you know? And so it was just the whole weekend was like that, though, except for the specific reason that we left for was good. We went to 6 or 7 different flea markets and garage sales and community sales and estate sales, and they were all terrible. You know, it was just one of those things. It was like, you know, it just sucks extra when you get on the road and it's, you know, you put 500 miles on the vehicle in a weekend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, you know, it makes it hurt a little bit more, but.
That's why it's tough for me to source that way. And about same thing, getting frustrated, not being able to sell a hat and whatnot. Just by the 10th yard sale with nothing, it's just really hard to stay motivated. And I just feel like, man, I could be doing something else with
That's
my
why,
time.
That's why I will say for the people that are listening, if you do get on the road like that, and it's not, you know, and especially for a profit, like if I listened to the Commonwealth Picker, and he was like, listen, he's like, if you're not a YouTube guy or a content guy, and you're going to get on the road with your truck and trailer and spend a week driving around to markets and whatnot, he's like, to be honest, that's not the best way to make the money. You know what I mean? Now, it's not a truck and trailer for us. You know what I mean? It's a 40 miles per gallon Honda Civic. You know what I mean? So it's not as bad. But at the end of the day, we had a destination to go to. We had a lady to meet that had product that exactly what we knew what it was. You know what I mean? Everything. So everything in between that meeting was just extra to make the trip more worth it, because it is 4 hours away. Just one way. So, you know, I'm not sure how much you should just leave on a whim and just be like, I'm going to go drive hundreds of miles and not have like a goal or whatever. But, you know, so it still made it worth it. I wouldn't change it. It's just, you know, it'd be better if all the other markets worked out.
So let me get this straight though. So the biggest flea market in the world in Florida is normally hits on Monday, but they just opened for Sunday. But they opened for Sundays, and you decided to go, and they had 3 people.
Yeah, it's called Swaparama. You guys can look it up. It's called Swaparama in Webster, Florida. And it's only been for years and years that I've ever known about it. It's only been a Monday flea market. And there's, especially the Mondays that are holidays, so everybody's off work, there's 20,000 people that show up there. Like it's like the Rose Bowl. I'm not joking. Right. Yeah. And it's literally in the middle of like, you know, farm country. It's, you know, there's not a big city really anywhere near. It's in the middle of nowhere. But it's, you know, it's a huge space. So I was thinking only a couple months ago, you know, 2 months ago or whatever, they opened up on Sundays. So I was like, well, dude, this is a new thing. Everybody's excited. You know what I mean? It's getting nice out. It's not cold. It's not hot. And I showed up there, and I'm not lying. There was literally 3 vendors when there's 800 spots for vendors. It was that bad. I looked at Amanda and I was like,
did you score or did you set up?
No, I got out. I looked at some hats that this guy had, and they were all like, you know, Sheen hats or whatever. You know what I mean? New York Mets Sheen hats and stuff. You know what I mean? He's trying to tell me, oh, hey, I think these are vintage. And I'm like, oh, yeah, let me look. Oh, Forever 21, dude. Yeah, it was made yesterday. That's what I told him. And
you just got like, paying tariffs on this.
Yeah. Amanda's like, you're being a dick. And I'm like, I might be being a dick, but like I'm just pissed because we drove so far. You know what I mean? I'm like, we drove so far. So
hey, are you guys watching the Instagram feed?
No, I can't see it.
BJ Little just rolled this one. I got to share with you guys. He says, with all due respect, you guys look like 3 different pictures of the same person, but each is taken 13 years apart.
Who said that?
Yeah.
That's BJ Little.
This is what you got to look forward to, Mike. This right here.
Hey, listen, man.
Look at this.
Hey, listen. I would be honored to look like you, dude. Don't even worry. Well, I can't see the new chat. But BJ Little, I appreciate it. That's a compliment to me, boys. Because you guys are some fine-looking men, and that's, you know, that's just that's strictly business.
It's a tip.
Yeah, that's strictly business.
No butt out time here.
Yeah, no butt out time here, dude.
No butt out time.
That's before we went live.
All right, so we had to have had some ups though. Something must have went went right. And we want to end this on a positive note. Let's talk about some of the things that's doing well for us, or that maybe that might change your business for the good.
I'll show you mine real quick right here. Saturday night, 7 p.m. on Whatnot.
Rob, can you pull that one off the rack that you showed me before this thing went live, dude? The people got to see that. That one's ridiculous.
Is
And
there a
also,
bank?
furthermore, for anybody that watches this between now and Saturday night, I will max bid $100 on that. So if you want it, you better bid 101. And I'm not joking when I say that.
It's a Buggy Bros.
It's a beautiful piece. It's a beautiful piece.
$100 for a polo.
Yeah,
That one's right behind it, Mike.
yeah, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I love it. Yeah, so if you
Those
want
are-
that,
And that's
$100.
that was our bolo though. That's what we were talking about, is the good prints like that, right?
good prints.
Yeah. That's what I've been
Would you
trying to source
consider that
myself.
top tier print?
Yes.
The Bogey Bros is absolutely. It's one of the niche, smaller but very popular golf polo makers.
Yeah.
Mostly found on like Instagram and stuff like that. But that second one I showed you is actually new with tags.
Yeah. And I mean,
Caddy cart. That is a Digi Water Camo Polo. That's what that one is.
You know what? That's exactly how I was going to explain it as well. Those guys are geniuses. But
Yep.
that sometimes the brand, especially in the golf polo, world, sometimes the brand doesn't even matter. Like for instance, you can get Ben Hogan. You know what I mean? Like brand new Ben Hogan is like $17 or something like that. You know what I mean? Like if you went to Walmart or whatever. But not always are they going to have the Ben Hogan that has like the sick print. Sometimes it'll just be a blue one or whatever.
Yeah.
And those ones, you'll be like,
I literally just sold a Ben Hogan with a nasty camo print on it like 2 weeks ago.
Exactly. And like,
Done.
those are so Ben Hogan's not obviously in that top tier of makers, but the print means everything in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Huge shout out to Donnie in the chat too. Donnie made it live. Good to see you,
Don,
Donnie.
What an absolute stud. I love Donnie. Donnie's is it Donnie JW?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think we did the best show of the week. Ed, I'm not sure if you even had one this week, but Donnie JW's Whatnot shows are, dude, if you want to chill, and listen to a South Alabama accent and just, and like he'll have golf and then he'll have fire and then he'll have, he just does all this stuff and then he'll just be pulling bins down and he'll be grabbing stuff from the vault. Dude, and he's a stuff. And he ships everything in a box. You know what I mean? You don't got to worry about these weirdos that are shipping you nice hats and poly bags.
And polybear. Yeah. Oh my God.
Talk about someone with
I got
10
a Donnie
times the
story.
patience. Yeah, he has 10 times the patience that I do. Bless
Yeah,
that
He
man.
does. He has patience for days. It's that Alabama thing.
Yeah.
I have the ultimate Donnie story.
Hit us.
All right. So just before I went to Tokyo last year, I ran a hat show. I had a Casper the Ghost branded Bills hat. I had two of them. I had a black one and I had a white one. Donnie bought one and another guy bought the other. And I swapped them. I get a message while I'm in Tokyo from the other guy. So I reach out to Donnie, who I knew got the other one. I said, hey, did you get this one? And he said, yeah. Oh, yep. I looked at it. I got it. And was never going to complain about it. I said, Donnie, I need your help, man. I went on Pirate Ship, got two labels, sent them to the guys, and they swapped. Donnie went and facilitated that for me while I was away. That's a stud right there.
What
Good
a
looking at.
national treasure.
Yeah.
Protect that man at all costs.
Kept you out of the
the 4 point.
You know what? In the end, I'm sure my other customer got what he wanted, and he's probably never been back to any one of my shows, and I don't blame him one bit. But the reality was I was really hoping Donnie got what he wanted to make sure that he was happy.
Hey, Rob, there is a quick funny story. We went to my dad's house on whatever day earlier this week or something like that, or last weekend, and on Sunday, and he had a branded Bills hat. And it was, it had whatever was on it. I can't remember. Mm-hmm. And I was like, hey, man, who gave you that branded Bills hat? And he goes, this ain't no Bills hat. He thought I was talking about the Buffalo Bills. I go, no, branded Bills. Who gave you the branded Bills hat? And he's like, I'm telling you right now. And he pulls it off and has like an American flag on the front. He's like, this isn't a Bills hat. And I'm like, the maker of the hat is called Branded Bills. Who gave that to you? And he was like, oh, I don't know, just some buddy of mine. And I was dying laughing, just thinking about the only reason I even know about this hat is literally because Rob sells it in the shows, and I have one that I got from you.
Yeah, I've probably got the hat that your dad had on his head right up here.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
You stay hooked up with the Branded Bills. They make some really cool stuff. The PVC patch stuff that they do is really good. So what we got a little sidetracked. What were the ups that you had fired up?
Honestly, my biggest up is getting all of that stuff from that lady over the weekend and coming back home. Obviously, you guys know I have my big Whatnot show on the 21st of this month, and being able to start putting all the pieces together, and it's much more of a curation of stuff than my normal kind of just everything kind of thrown together type deal. So I'm just so excited about that and basically all my sourcing is done for that, and it's just so that's probably the biggest up that I've had this week is or last week was definitely getting down there with that lady and just building connections, you know what I mean? Building relationships with her.
Yeah, Mary gets super frustrated at me because I have so many ideas rolling around in my head up here, and I want to get them all done right now. Whenever we decide to do something, and really, you sparked it on the first podcast, and I don't know if you know, but you asked the question about the percentage of each hat that was in a box, and so I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. So my up is, I guess I want like a multi-layer selling. I'm really thinking about doing my own website. I'm really thinking about integrating that in. And like we talked about, there's like maybe 5 to 10% of the hats that I get in are going to be like $30 plus. And I'm really thinking that I want to kind of filter them to the website to be able to avoid the fees on the higher dollar stuff. Now, trying to sell a mid hat on a website is probably not going to work out that great. Just a regular New York Yankees strapback hat is not going to sell anywhere but eBay, probably, maybe Facebook Marketplace. And then I got to do better at lotting up. I'm gonna decrease the amount of listings that I'm putting on eBay and probably do more lots and try to get more quality over the quantity that I'm doing, and try to kind of do it that way. So that's kind of the up for me. I'm really digging into how, but the whole thing is driving traffic to that website is going to be what's difficult.
I also heard, and I don't know how true this is, but I also heard having auctions running on your eBay store will drive, it's better for your algorithm and it drives views for the rest of your things that are not on auction. Like I said, I don't know how true that is. I never looked it up, but I have heard that from a couple people, and with a person like you who has that much inventory, and it has, there's a good amount of lower tier stuff, or however you want to categorize it. Having
it definitely helps.
or whatever,
because you've got something ending. So a lot of people sort by ending soonest or ending now. And so you're getting pushed up to the top of that list. And it definitely helps. The same goes for ending sales and beginning sales. And you're pushing those to the top by that cell ending. And that's something that I've been doing lately is if you have a store, and Mary's been keeping track of it and doing an awesome job, is every 3 days the sale is ending and it's starting again. And I haven't had the greatest eBay sales the last 2 days, but I know that it works really well. And because the week before that, I didn't list a whole lot and we still had consistent sales every day and better than the week before. So just if you're ever in a pinch and you need to boost your sales, in the sales, start the sales again. You watch items on eBay. Everybody does. You get that notification. Hey, this item is $2 less. And if you have 1,000 items in your store and you send out, and everybody gets that notification, you're going to get some sales from that. Then it's going to remind people of items that they've looked at, and it's just a really good way to temporarily boost and to get more sales. It really helps a lot.
I think the other part of that is when you're running a auction and it's ending. I mean, you may not want to, you may not find yourself bidding on that hat, but how many of us click see sellers other stuff?
Oh yeah,
and then we go scrolling through there.
I depend on that, and that's why the Hat House really draws a lot of people to click on that and to see the rest of the inventory if they're looking at one hat.
You would have I think you'll have an easy time with a website too, Stephen, because you have a pretty active Instagram following, and I only know that because I've gained a decent amount when you when you repost my stuff or whatever, and usually if you don't, either there's not that much of a following, or it's a lot of not very active people, then you get reposted or whatever, you don't really see that much of a boost from it. So you obviously have a decently active Instagram following. So if you were to put at least the majority of your really good stuff onto a website, I don't think you'll have all that much. I don't think you'll have a big issue driving traffic to that website, because at the end of the day, people, especially on Instagram and not on eBay, just on the social medias, those are the ones that are looking for the hat that you're wearing right now. You know what I mean? Those are,
I will give anybody else advice too out there on Instagram and Facebook. It's, if you're going to spend money on ads, spend it on Instagram. It is 10 times more return on getting followers or getting people to look at your listings and finding the right people that you're trying to draw in. The Instagram ads are almost worth it, especially and I didn't want to get off on a huge Instagram topic, but if you're trying to grow your Instagram, you got to make good reels. You got to make the best reels that I have are the ones me shaping up a hat, cut, 30 seconds. This is how I shape a hat, and I get to sell a hat shaper with those reels too, but anybody can do them. Cleaning up a hat, those cleanup hats, and I'm kind of talking about hats, but there's all sorts of content you could do. Things I found at the bin today, and you'd lay out the 10 awesome things you found. But the reels are, and Instagram talks about it, those are the ones that actually go out to people that don't follow you much. And that's how you gain followers on Instagram, is because the just basic posts of pictures only go to people that follow you 99% of the time. The reels are what will get you pushed out into other people's feeds and be able to be discovered by other people. So that's really
that's pretty much where everybody's just going one to the next, and
they're doing the whole TikTok thing.
Yeah, the reels is the way to go to try to grow your Instagram, get more followers, and ads on top of that are really targeted to people follow you. And once you get a decent amount of people following you, and Instagram can figure out, hey, these are the types of people he likes to follow and the types of people that like to follow him. Once Instagram can figure that out, and you spend $4 or $5 a day in ads or something like that, I usually I usually do it like for 3 or 4 days. Maybe when I'm doing my whatnot sale, I would run ads for like 3 or 4 days leading up to the sale that I was going to do on Saturday or Sunday night, and then I would pick up 20 or 30 followers for those 3 days that I ran $4 or $5 ads each day, and it really helps. And once you kind of start snowballing too a little bit, because once you start paying for a little bit of ads and you get a few people, then it kind of automatically gets into that feed where you're like, oh, these are people we suggest you follow down at the bottom, and that really helps. You probably didn't know you were gonna get some Instagram knowledge today,
Yeah.
but that's my Instagram. But the other
It's
up
all
that I had,
part of it, though. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like we have bullet points that we're trying to get to for everybody, but
yep.
sometimes we're just
You never know what you're gonna fall into.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? That's why it's cool, like, in the live.
Before we get too far down the rabbit hole, number 3 can't be finished yet.
Right. I got my last up. Is that what you're alluding to?
I don't know what your last up is, but I'm hoping it's the same as my last up, and I'm hoping it's Mikey's biggest up.
Oh, I know where this is going.
Oh, is it?
Oh, I know where this is going, Rob.
Before we get out of here,
yeah,
we got to congratulate my man right here. Fired Up Finds. Pop the question. His lovely lady said yes. The kids are going to get hitched. And hey, God bless you both. I'm so happy for both of you. Congratulations.
Show them. Do it. Do it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Nice seeing y'all. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Amanda's like, oh my God, I'm just so ready to be off the camera.
Yeah. Make sure you guys drop a comment down below. If you made it this far into the video, congratulating those two. That is so awesome.
That way, it was the most nervous I have potentially ever been, maybe in my entire life, actually. And you know,
been there, done that.
Like, yeah, like I'm a firefighter in real life, and like those didn't even make. Even my first fire didn't make me that nervous. I was like, I slept for 11 hours the next day because I was so nervous of the day before. I didn't even know that I had that kind of emotion in me. So I was, yeah. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah, we have reached the end. I will leave it a bit on a cliffhanger because I didn't get to my last up because there's something else that I think I'm going to do a little bit different in my business. And I haven't really talked about it on the podcast. We'll probably save it for next time. It's really cool. And I kind of want to go more into detail on it when we do get time. But before we go,
my freaking seat, dude, look at me. Look at me.
We're definitely going to talk more about it next week.
You see, I'm much closer right now. What you saying, huh?
The Hat House might be a little in a bit of a metamorphosis or something like that. Is that a good term for it?
Yeah. There we go.
All right. So before we get out of here, though, where we going to see you guys next,
Coach?
You got me Saturday night on Whatnot, 7 p.m. Eastern Central. You're going to get that whole rack, plus anything else in this room that you want.
Yeah.
All the hats behind me are brand new. Oh, let me show you this one. Let me show you this.
Got to see one banger hat.
These just came in.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, the ropey.
Callaway ropey, but that's not it.
I'm pretty sure I sold one just like that for $3 in my show the other day.
Like this? This is
they didn't have it. They didn't have
that's
Elite
the
on the side.
2025 hat right there. That's the new driver out.
It did not have the Elite on the side.
Black, blue, and white.
Listen, nobody knows how he does it, but he does it. You know.
I don't know how he does it.
Yep. What a freaking stud! And a fun fact about Coach Porch is he loves a big rack.
He does. I've heard the same.
80 plus pieces, a stacked rack.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he loves. So
Yeah, there's 80 plus on there, and I think it's
All
light.
right.
yeah,
When are we going to see your big rack fired up?
we got. I'm doing Hat House says that he hates preview shows where they don't sell anything. So we're doing a preview. We're doing a preview show of Monday's show on Sunday at I think maybe 5:30 in the afternoon on Sunday or something like that. And I'm gonna run like 50 pieces. I'm gonna run 50 pieces and probably some hats, definitely some shirts, all that other stuff. And then I'm gonna be showing off a lot of things that I have in Monday's show. I have already started uploading all of Monday, the 21st of this month, which is April. I've already started uploading all things in there. I think I'm at like 80 something now. Over the course of this week, I will get the rest of it done. There's probably going to be, somewhere in the 200 pieces, maybe even more range by the time it's all said and done. Monday, April 21st, 7:19 p.m. Please show up. You guys can go in there and see what's already in there. There's already some things that are pretty incredible. So
Awesome. Appreciate you guys. Definitely. I'm iffy for next week. I got the jury duty. Hopefully I make it nothing
call in sick, dude.
call in sick.
Dude, you got leave time.
It's like an hour to
See
get
how it
back.
goes.
So if we push it back to this time, we can probably still do it on Tuesday or Wednesday. But we'll see you guys next week.
Tuesday's bad for me, so
Okay,
we'll have to look at
Wednesday it
Wednesday.
is. Wednesday it is.
Oh, that's
right.
so funny.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week. Appreciate everybody hanging out.
Thanks,
Until
guys.
next time, the Raiders
Hey,
resell.
thanks for everybody that came in on Instagram. There was quite a few people there. I don't know if you guys could see that or not. And then everybody that came on YouTube as well. Thank you all for stopping in. We really
The fact that
appreciate
even one person stops watching TV for even 2 minutes to
it. Are you
look at
kidding me? On
It's weird.
Instagram,
You know what I mean?
we had BJ Little and Thrift the Process early on. Then we got
Hey, that's Bus with
Mr.
us.
Mr.
Yeah. That
Oh, yeah, it
Buster's
is. Yeah, it is.
He must have heard his name.
Doyley was in here, and then All Caps Vintage Snaps was up in here.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's all.
Really-
Thanks, guys.
Really appreciate you guys. We'll definitely see you next week. And if you're on the replay, leave us a comment and make sure you congratulate my man, Fired Up Finds. See you guys.
Thank you. And come buy my stuff because now I'm super broke. Okay. Thank you. Oh.